Hey, it's Aaron, the metal theologian. Alright, so, yeah, I had the sale last Saturday, and it went pretty well. Got no complaints about anything. Met some interesting people, and things are wrapping up pretty quickly, too. There are two people I haven't heard from yet. That's okay. One of them, actually, I can reach out to anyway if I need to. The other one I haven't heard from yet, and no shade. I mean, the fact is, people were messaging me on Sunday, and I was like, dude, I'm exhausted. Like, let me rest for a little while. So, the big update, because I did go through, I have tracking numbers if you need them, but if you ordered records from me on Saturday and you paid me before, before actually when I started this video, because about 5 minutes before I started, I got a notification that someone else had. But if you paid me before, I don't know, 10 o'clock on Tuesday, your shit's in the mail. And you should probably have it by the end of the week, actually, unless you're really far away. But not without media mail, but media mail is good, man. People talk shit, but you know. So anyway, this record. It's a pretty awesome piece of Italian shit. It's funny, there are a couple records I sort of rediscovered in the course of the sale. And some of them I ended up selling and some I didn't, you know what I mean? And there was at least one where I was like, I don't mind if I keep this. And someone after the fact asked me if they could still have it. And I was like, well, fuck it. Yeah, you can have it. But, you know, I figure I can find this shit again if it comes down to it. You know, like the metal section, that's the shit that I had that's the hardest to find. The German is kind of the closest to my heart as far as like the process of building it. That's the whole story too. And the jazz is probably what I reach for the most, other than the metal, but stuff out of like the 70s section and shit. It's so much easier to get stuff now. Like people complain about record prices and that, and I mean rightly to a certain degree. You know, if you're out there trying to buy records, it definitely sucks that a reissue from 2 years ago could be people would be asking $70 for it online. You know, it's a pain in the ass. But overall, man, it is just so much easier to get shit now than it was for like the previous 20 years or so before the last 5 or 10 years. It's like reissues come and go, like you're in and out of print. And it's like if you really want something, generally speaking, you're going to be able to find it without too much trouble. So, even a lot of the metal stuff, I mean, I talk about reissues a lot on here because I don't want, if I talk about some fucking $300 record, I don't want you to have to, I don't want to have that as a paywall in front of you being able to enjoy it, And yeah, you can listen to all this shit online, but it's never quite as good, right? So if there's a $30 reissue and I know about it, I'll tell you. Now this one, I don't know that there's a reissue of it. But I also don't know that I'd want to put my own money into reissuing this thing either. This band. They're Italian. And apparently they're called Schyte. That's what it looks like to me anyway. And it's funny, like I get to it right where like we sort of get to the wimpiest part of the whole album. So this thing really rocks, but I think this guy kind of represents the record perfectly. That's kind of how it sounds like, is what that guy looks like. The singer is really not trained. I just realized he's the drummer too, so I guess hats off to him for that. But like, I mean, he's actually singing pretty well now. And most of these songs, he makes Kronos sound like, operatic, like real sort of gruff, just like a step above, just like talking through the songs. But it just fits perfectly, man. And I just love this grubby kind of metal, Look, the quote, they picked a quote to put on the back here, and they put, "Shadow under a cross of one holy yoke at the twilight of the earth." I have no idea what that means. I think my English is pretty okay. And by the way, I'm pretty sure that discos just means records in Italian, but it's still funny that it says disco magic. Yeah, this is not a $300 record. I doubt anyone has ever paid even half that for this record. I sure hope not. But I really kind of love it. I've been playing this fucking thing a lot. There's a song called Son of the Evil. Check out Cherry, by the way. He kind of captures the spirit of the record, too. But not as well as the bass player, Andrew Hobler. Yeah, I'm going to bump this ahead because I feel like it's undermining the point that I'm trying to make. One fucking ballad. Total demo quality production. What a weird guitar sound. Like, I'm sure someone who knows about this sort of thing would listen to that and go, oh yeah, they just like did this and that wrong, you know? It doesn't sound like it was a sound as much as they just like turned on the fucking tape recorder they had and started playing. But it really does give it a kind of a unique character, you know? And they're doing their best on this record too, you know what I mean? They're playing. They're really going for it. I appreciate that, man. Like, I don't care if a record's shitty as long as it's passionate, you know? I mean, if a record's bad, that's different, right? But like poor musicianship has never been an impediment to me enjoying a record. At least not in the last 30 years, you know? And that's one reason why I kind of tend to look down on the shredders a little bit. It's like you're missing the point. Like, it's flashy and it comes off as kind of arrogant, which I don't appreciate. But also, it's unnecessary, man. You don't need to do that. Unless that's what you have to say, you know what I mean? If you really have something to say with that, you know? Like with some of the jazz musicians and that, you know? Like, there's a story that's probably apocryphal that, like, someone, yeah, I don't remember where I heard this, but like supposedly someone asked Miles Davis one time, like, about Dave Alley, he was like, oh, I don't like it when people play too many notes, you know, I like people just like say what they have to say and then shut up, you know? And the person said, well, what about Coltrane, man? He played a lot of notes and he was in your band. And Miles said something like, well, Coltrane had a lot to say. Like, if that's where you're coming from, is a Malmsteen or a Satriani or whatever, fine. But I don't think that's where either of those guys is coming from. And that's rarely where these guitar shredders are coming from. I might put Billy Gibbons, actually, is coming from that spot, though. He could play all afternoon and I'd keep my attention, So I'm not the biggest booster of, like, vinyl reissues of old demos. Partially because that's just, I mean, trying to collect records and, like, get everything is bad enough. Like, you start going down the demo rabbit hole, it's really infinite, you know? But there are a few, and a lot of times it's just kind of mediocre. You know, I mean, I have a lot. Some I really like, some that aren't that great. But there are a couple exceptions. And I'm actually going to talk about two right now, because there are two that I've sort of been listening to a lot. And one is this one that Alan from Let's Talk Metal actually just put me onto. Actually, when I was on the stream with him and Dan on Heavy Metallurgy a few weeks ago. But they were talking about this Chalice demo as having been like either the best or the second best American metal demo. So of course I had to hear it. So I like went out like the next day and like found someone who had a copy of this. So I sent away for it. And at first it kind of just sounded kind of weird to me, although they look awesome. You see what I mean about the singer, by the way? It's like super shitty. But it's perfect. It kind of reminds me of the singer of Torn Flesh a little bit. But he's better than that guy. Anyway, this is like two demos on this one record, I think. Or, no, it says recorded between 85 and 87. I don't know. I don't like look up facts. There are 7 songs on this, 2 of which are from a live show in 86. The other 5 are like the studio ones. And at first I was like, oh, maybe this is kind of overrated, but it's really kind of growing on me. And the songs are really good. Like, the songs kind of take a couple listens, but once they start to get into your head, they really sort of stay there, you know what I mean? And the eccentricities of this record also... I mean, I'll be honest, at first it was a little bit off-putting to me. Like, the singer is really kind of... he's not weird like this. Like, he just kind of sounds like... I don't even know how to describe it. Like it's like he literally doesn't know how to sing on some of the songs. Like especially on "Burn You at the Stake," it's almost like he's a space alien who like analyzed like human anatomy and shit like that, and figured out like planned out, and they charted out like how it works in terms of the breath and the musculature and like these sorts of things, and then like fashioned like his own like anatomy in such a way as to be able to reproduce that, and that's just how it came out. Because he kind of sounds like a space alien, but like a space alien who's really doing his damnedest. But I'll tell you, I've really kind of come around on this guy, and I've been really enjoying this thing. So, having heard of it as being held out as the best, right, I have to put it up against what is pretty much my favorite US metal demo, which is by this band, Max Planck, who are from the Seattle area. I guess it was an hour or two outside of Seattle. Fuck, I don't remember now. It's going to bother me. Eric Bauer can tell me where it is, probably. Ah, fuck it. It doesn't say on the back. I'm not going to dig it out. It has this big-ass book. This is one of these, like, really super deluxe Buried by Time and Dust versions of the record. And even though this thing's a few years old, I don't think it's that expensive. But this thing is just great. It has like just the right level of sort of like underground sound as far as sound quality. Like it has that demo sort of appeal. But I don't know. You know what a big part of it is? The singer for this band really reminds me of Jamie Clement from the Mirrors and the Styrenes. So like even though when I talk about Cleveland Magic, I'm not really talking about this kind of music, generally speaking. This record just gives me some of that same kind of warmth, And they're not even from Cleveland, right? I'm actually going to put it on for a minute. But yeah, it's funny that, like, this guy from a few years later from the other side of the country in a completely different kind of band would sound so much like someone else who I know and love, who this guy probably never heard of, And the Mirrors aren't exactly a household name now, but they were really obscure back in, like, what, 85, 86? Something like that when this got recorded. Max Planck is such a fucking weird name for a band, too. What were they thinking? I mean, I've got no problem with physics, but, I mean, when you can say crank the plank, maybe you've done something wrong with your band name, if you're going for, metal credibility. But I don't know. I mean, that sort of weirdness, in a way, it kind of represents the band pretty well, on the other hand, Let this go for a couple minutes. And maybe I'll put on some Chalice, too, so we can sort of compare them side by side. They're really not that much alike. They both, what they have in common is they both, they're both really ambitious. The execution is really different, but what Max Planck and Chalice have in common, I think, is that they're really ambitious in terms of their songwriting. You know what I mean? And maybe they aren't quite able to close the deal all the time, but they're close enough of the time that I am all fucking in on both these bands at this point, really. So if Chalice is so highly regarded, I'm kind of amazed that I managed to go for so long without ever even hearing of them. Whereas bands like this I've known about forever, fucking Aquila. This is The Curse, their second record. Alright, if you're a Mirrors fan, can't you hear that? It totally has that, like, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's Jamie Clement. Anyway, yeah, this band I've known about for a long time, but these guys are, I mean, really not all that special. What's probably the most interesting thing about this record is that they had extra covers from their first record. This is their second one, and so they just like pasted slicks over the old covers. And you can kind of tell, like, if you know, I don't have the first record, so I can't show it to you, but it has the logo across the top there, Actually, it's my own damn fault, too, because the thing was coming off when I got it, and I sort of re-glued it, so. But I mean, that you know, come on. But anyway, the point is, this band somehow I heard about, but I never heard about Chalice, so I don't know. By the way, this is a fun record. I'm not shitting on Aquila at all. I love that hook. You know, this is like, you know, a late 80s heading towards speed metal type of record. Like, maybe if they were a little bit better, it would have been full-on speed metal. As it is, they're definitely playing it pretty speedy, and that's what they're going for. And the songs are decent and well executed, and I like the fact that it's a three-piece band from Little Neck, New York, apparently. But, yeah, I mean, this isn't like the second coming of Street Child or anything like that, you know? This isn't the Wizard record or something like that. Here's another weird Italian one, since we're, since we started this off with an Italian one. Feline Melinda. What a name, right? And check out this band photo. This is really kind of classic. Look at that. And it's kind of blurry like that too. Like if it looks blurry on the thing, that's not my camera resolution. It just looks like that. And then check this out. The last fucking song. It's some Russian bullshit. I think it means feline Melinda in Russian, but I'm not sure. This is a surprisingly good record. Like, you know, it's funny because they sort of have the glam clothes on, but somehow don't really look very glam anyway. So I'm not really sure what they were going for, because like, if the record sounded a little more glammy, I think that was what they were going for. They just executed it badly. But the record is really pretty heavy, you know what I mean? These songs are pretty balls out. There are a couple kind of sort of goofy parts, like that Russian thing and that sort of thing, but like, a song like The Felines Await You, you think that'd be some sort of like jokey, you know, some sort of jokey like boogie shit or something like that. And it's not, man. It's fucking full on. Yeah, this is 1988, this one. Looks like it came out in Germany. Yeah, but the band was Italian. I don't know, I've been kind of on an Italian band's kick lately, I guess, because I feel like I just keep the records that I keep feeling like listening to keep being Italian. Either that or Max Planck or Chalice. Oh, but that doesn't mean there aren't some, you know, classics here. I mean, here's some I just played within the last week. Right? What do I need to say about Testament? I'll tell you what I can say about Testament is I think Rain and Blood is unique, but this is probably the only thrash metal record that can really hang with Hell Awaits in my estimation. As far as like the meat of it and the heaviness and the pace and the ferocity of the singer and just sort of the way it's relentless in that kind of a way. You know what I mean? I feel like Hell Awaits is almost like too prog rock to compare to this one. This one would really sort of fall somewhere between Rain and Blood and Hell Awaits, but it's probably closer to Hell Awaits because it's not quite as sort of jagged as the riffs on Rain and Blood are. But absolutely a 10 out of 10 record. God, they look so fucking young on the back too, man. I remember when I was that young. Barely. All-time classic record. And speaking of all-time classics, I need a little dose of this bad boy. I don't remember what it was, but you know what I think it was? I think like somehow the subject of piranhas came up in conversation. Like completely separately. And like a couple days later, I was still going, piranha kill in the pack your run. I was like, fuck, I gotta pull that record out, man. Or else it's never gonna go away. Yeah. I actually bought this at Rocket Records on 9th Avenue in San Francisco, if anyone remembers that place. It's probably been gone since 98 or 99, that shop. That's where I grabbed this bad boy, on Torrid Records. Yeah, I mean, it was distributed by Combat, so it's not like there's a prior press or anything, but you know. It has that cool old logo on there. It's on the label, too. And then, of course, I'm going for Chaos. I gotta go for some of this shit, too. That's funny. I played this for a friend of mine here, and he was saying this just sounded like punk to him. You know? Like, oh, I remember there was a qualifier. I don't remember what the qualifier was, but it's funny because I can totally hear it, and I feel like I can't hear... I almost... Like, on the merits, I can see it, but I feel like I've known this band for so long, and I've been so conditioned to think of them as a metal band, that I just kind of can't separate it out, you know what I mean? It's too big of a readjustment for me to sit down and listen to this as a punk album. But I'll bet that's why people like Vinyl Richie like this shit. Hell, probably Eric Bauer to some degree, too. I know he's all over the void, but he's a punk rocker at heart, you know? Yeah, I'll be honest too. Maybe there's a little bit of bias in there too, because there's been a lot of talk over, over the years really, about the influence of punk on metal, and a lot of that influence taking the form of the speed. You know what I mean? So like the speed metal bands and the thrash bands are picking up some of that, just the pace from some of the punk bands. And even though I'm not going to deny that, first of all, because it's obviously true. And second of all, just because that's how music works. But there's a part of me when I hear people going too much on about that, I sort of go, let's not give punk all the credit now, okay? Like, we deserve some credit over here on the metal side, too, okay? Let's just rein it in just a little bit, you know what I mean? So I almost feel like psychologically, like I have this sort of like block against like giving too much punk credibility to Voivod, even though clearly they were influenced by that shit. See, I can say I hear more Motorhead and Venom, whom they actually thank in the liner notes, in that Voivod record that I do punk, but I mean, it doesn't really change anything. Because those guys were just as punk as anybody, right? Here's one that's not punk at all. I mean, maybe they were punks. Like, not punk rockers, just punks, right? I don't know them. I'm not their dad. Yeah, but this is probably the most epic Candlemass record, and that's probably why it's my favorite. I just love every song on this thing. I like how all these themes that are sort of developed over the course of more than one riff in each of the songs. And the songs sort of take their time to develop, but they don't overstay their welcome either. You know, this is a really long record to be on one LP. But it's just great. It doesn't get boring, man. And like Nightfall tends to get a little bit more of that sort of, a little bit more of the sort of retrospective attention, maybe because of Samaritan. And it's a great record. I love Nightfall, don't get me wrong. In fact, it wasn't really until I digested Nightfall that I was ready for this record, I think. Because I got both around the same time, and at first I reached for Nightfall more, and then I started reaching for this one. And sort of with time, I found myself reaching for this one more and more until it came to the point where I usually reach for this one. And that was, 15, 20 years ago, probably 20, 25 years ago that I got these things. So that's just sort of the way things developed. Another thing that I like is all the space in this too. Like Messiah gets a lot of credit for his vocals, for his singing style. Credit or discredit, I suppose, depending on whether you like him or not. But one of the things I really like is he's singing this high tessitura, and everything else is so low. Like all the riffs are played so low. I mean, not just on the bass, the guitar. There's a lot of space in the middle there, and I think they really use that space well, and it really makes the album just shine. Now, the record that got me into Candlemass is actually the self-titled one, that reunion album with the white cover and the cross on it and nothing else, where they're wearing suits inside the gatefold. So yeah, that's a little funny twist of fate. Like that's like the rare exception where it was a reunion album that got me into a band. I pulled this out recently. In case you're thinking I might have forgotten about the mighty Gandhi. I swear this record is good, man. It's a little bit insane. And in a way, it's not like fully committed to metal, you know what I mean? It kind of wanders off and loses its way sometimes. But when it gets in the groove, it's right fucking there, man. And like, the way it expresses itself is just so weird and so kind of batshit that I've got to love this thing. You know, there's so much wrong with this record. And it just comes together in a way that's absolutely glorious, you know? I like the first Gandhi record too, but this second one is really the one to get if you're going to get one. Grateful Message. What a stupid album title. Absolute banger. Classic record. Well, I don't know if it's really a classic record, but it's pretty great. Don't spend too much on it. Now, the cover isn't great, but it's better than the cover of the first record, too. So that's another plus, the second one I was going for it. Oh, here's another classic one I pulled out not too long ago. Fucking Grim Reaper, man. Yeah, this is such a great record. I mean, this record is just archetypal, you know what I mean? This is one of those records, like, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily as good as all of these, but I think as far as the expression of it and the sound and the delivery is a record you could put up there with the likes of Peace of Mind or Hail to England as records just represent metal, you know what I mean? Just like pure heavy metal. It really has it all. You know, it has the ambition in the songwriting. It has, I guess it has the soloing and shit too, but not to excess. It has sort of the heroic vocal delivery. Even though he takes some getting used to, Steve Grimmett. I didn't like him at first either. But yeah, really a classic album. Gandhi is not, see, if I'm calling this a classic, I can't really call Gandhi classic. And I sure as hell can't call Schyte classic. Fucking Schyte, man. What the fuck were they thinking? Jesus. The darkness comes. Yeah. The dark brown. Here's one. I actually pulled this one out because of Black Leather Eyes pulled this out and was talking about it. And I hadn't played this in ages, so I wanted to give it another chance. But this is Force. This is on Awaka Records or something like that. It's kind of an unassuming, old, I guess, proto-doom record. So, I don't know if it's really proto, if it's 81, and, I don't know, man, the first Mistreater record, or, yeah, the first Mistreater record came out that year, too. Hell's Fire, which is a classic. I guess that's proto-doom too, given where Doom went in the wake of, you know, Saint Vitus and Candlemass. Maybe I'll throw this on for just a minute, then we'll hang it up. There's the label, nice and plain looking, right? I was a little surprised that somebody reissued this, because when I got this, I really got the impression that nobody gave a shit about it. Definitely has that sort of darkness in the sound. Yeah, the singer, Simona Queen, is a little bit screechy in places, but not bad. Not like Well, not like on that Ripper record, which of course is great, but that's different aesthetic, you know. That's a pretty solid riff right there, right? Sounds like Don't Burn the Witch by Venom. Not really, just reminded me of it. Now that I'm hearing the riff again. It's a weird accent. I guess that's what I was trying to put my finger on. It's a weird way of enunciating. Get aye, you know. Takes a little getting used to it. I'm still working on getting used to it. But I'm thinking this might be a record that I've snoozed on. I might just need a couple more listens to really get my head around it. See how it's just sort of one melody, like she's singing the same thing as what they're playing. It's kind of simple, you know. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there for now. There's more shit here, but nothing for 30 seconds. I don't want the video to last forever, so I've already taken up enough of your time. Thanks for watching, though. I do appreciate it. And I will see you next time.